Hello guys, everything alright? My name is Tamiris. I've been working with digital growth hacking and also software development for the past decade. And today I'll be discussing with you about Manus. I really want to understand this tool with you guys to understand what it does really well, what it might not do so well. So what are the shortcomings of the tool right now? And essentially if it is worth it given the price. So first things first, what is the pricing of these two? So they have two different grading, like two different types of subscription. One is what they call starter for $39, and the other one is the pro. Both of them are in beta, so keep that in mind. So the pro one is 199. And the main difference between them are essentially the credits, so the number of credits. So here you kind of utilize a token system to do your coding, and they call this token system a credit, essentially. And also the second biggest difference is how many tasks you can run concurrently. So I don't know in day-to-day practice if this will make a lot of difference, but that's an option for, I would say, heavy users, right? So today we'll be testing the starter pack for $39. One thing that is nice to talk about as well is that you can acquire credits without needing necessarily to do an upgrade if you run out of credits while you are testing and doing your tool. So, what is Manus, or at least what people say that Manus is? Essentially, it's a tool similar to GPT, but it does essentially software development, especially web applications. So people are saying that Manus is really good at building essentially web apps or like websites in general, considering that the tool is able to essentially do discovery before creating essentially the app. It can interact with you while it is essentially building your app. And at the same time, it can do, for example, web search to essentially try to emulate an app that already exists, or to find more documentation, or to find more sources online to better build your app. So essentially, I would probably classify these as a two somewhat similar to Lovable, although the interface is slightly different, and let's see if the way that it works is the same. So what I will do is that I will test, first of all, creating a simple app, maybe a website, something like that with Manus, without necessarily comparing to Lovable. And then I will try to build the same application on Lovable to check essentially what are the main differences. I already played a bit with the two. I do see some minor differences, but let's see together, right? So what I will do is that I will tell the two to create to tell Manus to create a tool that will help a website. So let's see how it handles this web search, which is one of the major components people are talking about for Manus. So essentially I will say, could you please act as a product development team, especially a product manager and a developer, and visit this website. To gather context about their services and brand, and with this context, help me build the following two. A calculator will tell users how much money they can make if their website loads faster. Please be mindful to respect their UI. So I won't give a very complex instruction. I want to see how it goes with high-level instructions, leaving it very open to rationalize and to do their own research, essentially. Its own research, sorry. So let's see the behavior. And since we want to test the exact behavior, I will try my best to not like skip anything or pause the video. So if you want to essentially 2x the video right now, because we will be waiting for the two to give us its suggestions, then please feel free to do that. But I will try my best to not like cut any important part, so you will be able to see exactly how the two behaves. So essentially they are telling the exact steps they are following. So this is very user friendly, the way that they are doing that. They are not necessarily talking anything about the code yet. They are telling like explicitly what they are doing. So browsing the website, scrolling down, clicking element, then browsing a specific page inside of the website, then scrolling down. As you can see, it is very interactive. So this is a difference that we have compared to, for example, Lovable, that is a bit more, I would say, a bit more straight to the point in terms of delivering you the end result without necessarily telling the exact step by step that it is following. Of course, you can, for example, on Boat, which is a similar tool as well. And I even made a comparison between Boat and Lovable. If you want to check it out, it's probably over here. On Boat, you can see on the screen essentially the application being done, like you can see the code, but it is not as interactive as the experience that we are having right now with Manus. So the tool is still telling us the step by step it is following to bring us the first suggestions, which is quite neat. I wonder if we can like interact with that. You can see it live, which is interesting. But I don't think we can necessarily like interact with just one specific step. Yeah, we're just able to kind of like see it interacting, but I'm kind of like scared to interrupt it in the middle of a thought. So for now, I won't do that, but we can do it with another app or maybe like an extra step on the app that we are creating. For now, I will leave it free to do what it wants and see essentially what it brings to us. We have here the files, so a file folder. It brings essentially some documents. For example, over here, it is explaining the thought process, essentially collected kind of like the brand identity over here, and it is telling us the elements that it identified on the website. It's telling us about the services that it was able to crawl on the website. And I'll say this is like pretty spot on most parts. I would say 85 to 90% correct, which is amazing in my perception. So key value proposition, very good. Target audience. Man, it's really good. It's really good. I would say like probably 8 to 8.5 out of 10. But definitely, I would say this has the potential to be more thorough and more advanced in terms of like interaction, research, etc. than our current alternatives like Lovable, Bolt, Replit, and so forth, so on. Actually, I haven't tested yet Cursor, so this is one that people tell me a lot about, so I might be doing a video soon testing it. But for sure, this is more interactive than Lovable Boat and Replit, which are tools that I already tested a lot. I already created at least like 3 to 4 different applications at least on each one of those. So that's very promising, essentially. I think I'll pause the video right now and I'll come back when it has figured out at least the first version because I don't think we have anything new. So bottom line, it does a really good research and it is more interactive and it tells us on a more user-friendly way what it is doing on the process of developing the tool that we requested it. And I'll come back soon. Hey guys, I'm back. So essentially the tool is asking for my review. It's attempting to deploy the service to the public network. So for the purpose of this video, I would just say yes, because we don't have any sensitive information over here. It's just like a high level tool that is doing analysis based on what it was able to find on the internet, essentially. So let's see. Apparently we are getting close to the first version of the tool. So this was quite fast, honestly. It took us about 12 minutes, so it might take us 1 or 2 additional minutes, so 15 minutes to create a tool. Given that we essentially prompt the tool to also go and search on the web more information, I would say that this is a quite good amount of time if the tool comes working. So let's see what happens. Okay, so apparently the two is done. Um, so it said that it was going to publish it live, but actually I just have the HTML index over here. Well, let's test it out. It's looking good, man. It does look good. So website speed revenue calculator, how much revenue you could gain with faster loading times. So let's say 7 seconds, target website speed 2 seconds, B2B, 1,000 visitors, current conversion rate, 2.5 sounds about right, average order value, B2B I would say like at least 2,000. Revenue impact summary, additional annual revenue with a 22% conversion rate increase, 15% order per value improvement. I don't know how it is inferring like 15% average order per value. So I'm curious to know what is kind of like the source of this inference. Um, Detailed breakdown. Currently monthly revenue, projected monthly revenue. So I'm not a. Okay. So let me check if they have a documentation over here. Oh, they do. So website speed impact on revenue research. Let's check it out. B2B websites loading 1 second have conversion rates 3 times higher than sites loading 5 seconds and 5 times higher than sites loading 10 seconds. Important So let me check if this is like a real source. Um, Website page speed. Uh, yeah, there are some real research. Okay, okay. B2C e-commerce sites loads in 1 second have conversion rates 2.5 times higher than sites loading 5 seconds. For every 1 second improvement in page load time, conversions increase by 2%. Walmart. That's interesting. For every second of delay between 0 and 5 seconds, the conversion rate drops by 4.4% according to HubSpot. So again, let me check if these are real data. So there is 1 million article talking about that. Them cookies. Gosh, no thanks. Um, yeah, apparently these are real research. Revenue impact. This study, I know it because it's so freaking uh, like popular, so I know this is a real thing. Um, so I understand the correlation with conversion rate. For me, this is quite clear, but I didn't understand like the average order per value, especially considering like B2B. I don't see how this correlation works. So this is more like e-commerce, right? I think this would make sense for an e-commerce, right? Because the average order per value is even like a more e-commerce KPI. But honestly, this is the only shortcoming that I notice more like clearly on the two because the UI looks somewhat on point. There are minor adjustments that I would do, but like for 15-minute development, it looks good. The research looks real. The data is being backed up at least by some studies that I found on the web. Actually, real studies connecting to the brands that I mentioned. So it seems somewhat trustworthy for me. And it does make sense, the impact on average order value if we were analyzing commerce. So I just think like it extrapolated this rationale to B2B, which doesn't make much sense, but overall for me it looks great, honestly. I really liked it. I really like the documentation. I think it did a very good research as well. I think it didn't spend like several minutes on paths that it didn't make sense. So I feel pretty good about Manus. I think it is an above average AI coding too. So right now let's compare it very shortly and very briefly as well with Lovable because I am curious to see like how Lovable would react to the same request. So exactly the same prompt. I won't change anything about it, and let's see the differences. So as I told you guys, the behavior is different in terms of how interactive it looks. The UI is different in this sense, like the experience is different. Because here we have this like spinning up preview, but we don't have like the exact steps that it is taking. Although it does tell us on a high level like features, color, styling, blah blah blah. It doesn't tell us like I'm searching for X, I'm scrolling the page, da da da. Which I do think that is interesting, especially for people that want to have more control over how the AI is behaving, how the agent, quote unquote, is behaving. Um, I do think that Manus gives us this feeling of being more part of the process and having more control over what it is doing and the whole like rationale and paths that it is taking to develop the tool. I'm back. So it gave me like a preliminary MVP, a preliminary version, but the preliminary version broke. I don't know why it is trying to create a database. I would just say you can store data locally for now instead of connecting to base. Let's see if this was the reason why it broke. I hope so. Mm, Lovable is not looking good now. I love the two, but it does break a lot. Sometimes it does slightly over engineer in terms of trying to get a database when it is not necessary just to do the prototype validation. Of course, in the future we can add a database, but for the prototype, we could simplify it, right? Just to see if it is working, and it does not do it so well. Let's just try to fix without coding, because I always try to do things without necessarily like coding or changing on the source using a terminal, because I think the whole purpose of this type of tool is to actually bring the possibility of non-coders to build things. So if I am required to know how to code to like fix anything, then it doesn't make sense, right? Although I do have a bit of knowledge on coding, um, not a developer by any means, but sometimes I am able to go and like fix things on the source code, blah blah blah. But I don't think that's the purpose of this type of tool. Um, so the UI looks good, but it is not following the brand's identity. So it did a poor job at essentially searching for. I don't even know if it searches on the web. Let me check that. Does Lovable searches on the web? Search, sorry. Um, well, apparently it is capable of browsing the web, so I don't know why it just ignored. Um, so the mechanism is quite similar. Let's say like $2,000. Um, so it's telling us to choose the speed improvement, which is something that users might not have the knowledge to know, first of all, what is possible, and second of all, what is good. And what if their website loads in like 30 seconds? Then they will need to have an increase of like at least 25 seconds, and this is not an option over here. Um, so yeah, it's one thing that I would get better maybe. So potentially monthly increase, current conversion, new conversion, but the current conversion is like 2%. Why is like 6? Kind of weird. This doesn't sound right. Every 1 second delay page load time can lead to 7%. But what is the source? I wonder. What is the source for the calculation? X% increase in conversion if loading in Y amount of time. Okay, so it is able to do research, although I do feel it is slightly more limited than Manus, although they did find these two studies in common, the Walmart and the Deloitte study. So, um, and a 404. Okay. So guys, I would say that Manus has the potential of being more powerful than Lovable, Replit, Bolt, all of these more like user-friendly platforms. I haven't tested yet Cursor, so this might be the next comparison that I would do. But for now, out of all these tools, I think Manus is the one that has the potential to be more powerful. They are still in beta, so sometimes I do get some weird behavior. So, for example, yesterday I built an application that for some reason it wasn't responsive. So this was quite weird because it was built just for mobile devices and then on desktop it was breaking. So this type of stuff might happen still because they are in beta, at least right now, like April of 2025. But I do feel that this is one of the tools that has the highest potential to be a very user-friendly, interactive, and also comprehensive tool. Like you can see that it kind of acts as a full team. So it does like very thorough documentation, for example. I really like that. And the web search is way better than, for example, Lovables. So we were able to see that it was more truthful to the whole like UI of this particular brand. And it was also able to mention more sources for the calculation behind conversion rate increase. And it had like a more detail oriented path of, for example, separating B2B from B2C. So I do think it is a quite powerful tool, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next few months when they essentially improve the tool and the tool is no longer on beta. So if you want to know more how you can actually build systems, build tools to make your agency more efficient, just like I did with mine, that I was able to essentially go from 30% margins to 69% margins, then feel free to contact me on the link down below. I'll leave my Calendly link so you can book a meeting with me and we can discuss how we can actually grow and scale your agency fast and profitably. So thank you so much for watching this video and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.